You are assigned to review a cold case homicide file that has been shelved for 2 decades. The records clerk hands you the case file, pointing out the broken evidence chain from the original investigation. Shelf code C-14-1985 marks where this cold case has been stored, untouched for over 20 years. Inside the box, evidence bags with broken chain of custody labels are immediately visible, raising procedural concerns. The chain of custody form has blank spaces for signatures, indicating a lapse during the original evidence collection. Missing initials on the form highlight how time has eroded the integrity of the evidence documentation. The detective's notes show detailed observations, but gaps in alibi verification from witnesses interviewed decades ago. You start logging evidence contradictions and planning re-interviews to address memory drift from the original statements. Each evidence bag reveals neglect, with time erasing crucial details like dates and officer signatures from the tags. The inventory list indicates 3 evidence bags are unaccounted for in the original chain of custody records. Discrepancies between evidence and old witness statements point to significant memory drift over the past 20 years. A photograph from the crime scene log shows timestamps that don't align with the original witness alibi claims. The crime scene log reveals time gaps that contradict 2 key witness alibis, forcing a re-evaluation of their statements. You prepare re-interview questions, focusing on alibi contradictions and memory inconsistencies noted from the original file. The case board takes shape, with red threads connecting old evidence to new questions about witness memory drift. Red threads symbolize the broken links in the evidence chain that you must reconstruct through careful re-investigation. You update the case file with today's date, noting progress made and pending forensic review for DNA backlog clearance. A call to the lab confirms a DNA backlog, delaying any potential matches from the evidence collected decades ago. The DNA report is backlogged, a stark reminder of how time impacts forensic evidence processing and case resolution. The first shift ends with more questions than answers, setting the stage for witness re-interviews and forensic breakthroughs. The new shift begins with the cold case file open, ready to delve deeper into the evidence chain and witness statements. Missing signatures on the chain of custody form highlight procedural lapses that complicate the evidence integrity after decades. You verify each evidence item against the inventory, noting discrepancies that could point to mishandling or loss over time. Witnesses with alibi contradictions are prioritized for re-interviews to address memory gaps and inconsistencies. Aged witness statements reveal how time has altered memories, making re-interviews crucial for uncovering new truths. You make the first call to schedule a re-interview, preparing questions based on alibi verification and memory drift. The case board evolves, with red threads linking witness statements to broken evidence chains, visualizing the investigation's progress. Stage 1 concludes with all evidence reviewed and witnesses identified, setting the procedural baseline for re-interviews. Stage 2 begins with the re-interview protocol, focusing on witness memory contradictions and alibi verification. You prepare the interview room, ensuring the recorder is ready to document every detail of the witness's new statement. The recording light symbolizes the commitment to preserving testimony accurately despite decades of memory decay. During the interview, you confront the witness with timestamps from the crime scene log that contradict their original alibi. The witness's memory drifts, revealing inconsistencies that challenge the reliability of their decades-old testimony. The evidence contradiction matrix visually maps the memory gaps, showing how witness statements have changed over time. You review the recording, documenting specific contradictions that will be added to the caseboard for further analysis. New red threads on the caseboard connect the witness's memory drift to the broken evidence chain, deepening the mystery. Each red thread represents a broken link in the investigation, a testament to how time erodes truth in cold cases. You prepare questions for the next witness, focusing on alibi verification and inconsistencies noted from previous interviews. Scheduling the second re-interview, you ensure all procedural protocols are followed to maintain evidence integrity. The first day of re-interviews ends with more questions, as memory contradictions pile up without clear resolutions. You begin the second re-interview by verifying the witness's alibi against timestamp discrepancies from the original crime scene log. The witness admits memory lapses, creating contradictions that challenge the reliability of the evidence chain in the cold case. The recording light captures each hesitation, documenting how time erodes memory accuracy in witness statements. You document specific time gaps in the alibi, noting how memory drift affects the witness statement's evidentiary value. Listening to the recording, you isolate contradictions that will be added to the evidence contradiction matrix for analysis. The matrix visually maps the memory contradictions, highlighting inconsistencies that undermine the original investigation's conclusions. New threads on the caseboard link the witness's memory drift to the broken chain of custody labels from the archive. You conduct alibi verification by contacting the witness's former employer, cross-referencing dates with the crime scene log entries. Each document in the alibi verification adds a procedural layer to assessing the witness's reliability over time. You examine the DNA backlog clearance memo, noting any potential connections to the witness's testimony for further forensic review. Preparing for the next re-interview, you focus on alibi inconsistencies noted from previous witness statements and evidence. The growing web of red threads illustrates the complexity of memory contradictions uncovered during the re-interview protocol. During the third re-interview, the witness reveals new details that contradict earlier statements from other witnesses in the case. You confront the witness with crime scene photos, probing for inconsistencies in their memory of events and timelines. The witness's facial expressions reveal the strain of recalling events from decades past, affecting testimony accuracy. You document the third interview, noting alibi gaps that require verification against the original detective's notes and reports. Cross-checking alibis reveals overlapping contradictions, pointing to potential memory errors or collaboration issues in the cold case. The timeline chart helps visualize the discrepancies in witness alibis, highlighting gaps in the investigation over decades. You identify a pattern where witnesses consistently misremember key times, suggesting external influence or the decay of truth. The re-interview protocol yields more questions, as memory contradictions deepen without clear resolutions, underscoring the cold case's challenges. You cross-reference the latest interview notes with the original case file, identifying additional memory gaps in the witness statements. The recorder's timestamps provide precise documentation of memory drift, essential for building the evidence contradiction matrix. Updating the caseboard with fresh contradictions reveals patterns in how alibis have shifted over the decades. Setting up for another re-interview, you focus on verifying alibis against the original crime scene perimeter log. During the interview, the witness struggles to reconcile old memories with new evidence, highlighting the erosion of truth. This signature comparison underscores the time gap and potential for memory decay in the cold case investigation. Documenting this interview adds to the growing list of alibi inconsistencies requiring further forensic review. The caseboard illustrates the complex web of contradictions, signaling the need for a breakthrough in the investigation. The DNA backlog clearance memo sits untouched, holding potential clues for resolving the cold case's memory gaps. A notification alerts you to a new DNA report, potentially matching evidence and shifting the investigation focus. The arrival of a backlogged DNA report introduces new evidence, forcing a re-evaluation of the cold case theory. Reviewing the DNA report, you note a match to evidence previously overlooked due to chain of custody issues. The report's genetic data points to a new suspect, contradicting earlier assumptions based on witness statements. Cross-checking the DNA evidence reveals inconsistencies with alibis, suggesting a break in the cold case timeline. You initiate jurisdiction handoff procedures to ensure the DNA evidence is properly logged and transferred for further action. Updating the chain of custody form secures the evidence trail, critical for any future legal proceedings in the case. Drafting the warrant affidavit requires aligning the new DNA evidence with the cold case's incomplete historical record. Discussing the affidavit highlights the challenges of building a case on decades-old evidence with broken documentation. Archiving the forensic materials prepares the case for potential prosecution despite lingering unresolved questions. The expanded case file symbolizes progress, yet the dense red threads on the board remind you of the truth's erosion over time. The affidavit's submission marks a critical step, but its success hinges on the judge's review of decades-old chain of custody issues. Your signature commits the department to pursuing the new suspect, based solely on the backlogged DNA report's genetic data. Submitting the affidavit triggers a legal review process, where jurisdiction handoff protocols must be verified against the broken evidence chain. The prosecutor questions the alibi verification gaps, forcing you to document each inconsistency in the updated case file. This memo formalizes the transfer of the cold case to active status, despite the lingering memory gaps in witness statements. The judge's request highlights the procedural cost of rebuilding a case from fragmented, decades-old forensic review materials. Updating the caseboard visually connects the new forensic breakthrough to the cold case's fractured original theory. Each thread represents a potential lead, but the tangled web underscores how time has eroded clear paths to the truth. This report aims to bridge the gaps in the evidence trail, crucial for securing the warrant against the new suspect. The analyst confirms the DNA evidence's validity, but notes the challenges of matching it to old, poorly documented samples. The physical evidence bags hold the key, yet their damaged labels remind you of the procedural failures from decades ago. This coordination prepares for potential surveillance, but hinges on the warrant's approval based on the cold case's new findings. Background check reveals minor discrepancies, adding to the pile of unresolved questions in the decades-old homicide. These statements show how witness memories have shifted over time, complicating the alibi verification process in the cold case. Finalizing the documentation prepares the cold case for legal action. Yet the thick file symbolizes the weight of unresolved evidence. The DA assesses the evidence sufficiency, noting the risks of prosecuting based on a backlogged forensic review from years ago. This stack represents the procedural diligence applied, but also the limitations of justice when truth is eroded by time. Your notes acknowledge the progress made, yet highlight that some answers may remain forever lost in the cold case's broken chain. This summary ensures continuity for the next detective, but underscores the ongoing challenges of the cold case investigation. The closed file hints at a pause, but the dangling thread reminds you that the cold case's truth is still incomplete and waiting. The warrant approval arrives, but the dated evidence chain requires meticulous documentation to support the cold case prosecution. These documents bridge decades, yet the faded ink on the memo hints at the time lost in the forensic review. This coordination ensures the suspect is located, but the cold case's memory gaps add uncertainty to the arrest protocol. Updating the caseboard visually links the forensic breakthrough, yet the red threads can't fill all the evidence chain holes. This final review confirms the DNA match, but the broken chain of custody labels linger as procedural failures from decades ago. With the forensic breakthrough documented, the shift moves to closing the cold case file and reflecting on the process. Archiving the file seals the cold case for now, but the new tags can't erase the decades of procedural neglect. This shelf holds countless cold cases, each with its own story of evidence chains broken by time and oversight. The summary report captures the DNA breakthrough progress, Yet it must acknowledge the unresolved alibi verification contradictions. This discussion reinforces that some justice in cold cases is about documenting known facts, not solving every mystery. The cleared desk symbolizes the shift's end, but the lone evidence bag reminds you of the cold case's incomplete truth. Signing the handoff memo formally closes your involvement, but the memory of witness statement gaps stays with you. Your final note acknowledges the detective work done, yet questions how much truth was lost over the decades. This shift-end report ensures procedural continuity, but underscores the challenge where evidence decays with time. The closed log holds your reflections, a private record of the cold case's impact on your understanding of justice. Locking the room secures the files, but the knowledge that some cases will never be fully solved lingers in the silence. The walkout reminds you that every piece of evidence relies on meticulous chain of custody documentation to serve justice. Reviewing the summary, you realize that in cold cases, the cost is often in documenting the absence of certainty. The blurred view through the raindrops mirrors the obscured truth of the cold case. Clear in procedure, but fuzzy in resolution. As you drive away, the shift ends, but the cold case's lesson about time eroding truth remains a quiet takeaway.